Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kira. This is Fred. You can't see his face, he's napping over there. And we are so excited to have you in this Yin Yoga for Immunity class. This is a fantastic and supportive class to do if you find yourself in the midst of cold and flu season, or if you're just feeling overwhelmed and kind of run down, or if you even happen to feel a little under the weather, this class might give you a boost. So you will need some props for today. You'll need 2 blocks, yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you could find some nice hefty books of equal size. And then you're also probably going to want to have a blanket, and you'll need a bolster, which is a firm yoga pillow. If you don't own one, usually a cushion from your couch or 2 very firm bed pillows will be a good stand-in. So if you need to go gather some props, take a minute to get those things so you're comfy and warm and supported, and I will be right here when you're ready. Okay, so we'll begin using our blocks in a prone or a face down position. So you'll take your yoga blocks and angle them slightly on the diagonal, and you'll be coming down and laying your shoulders on these blocks. So that'll look like this. You'll feel for nestling that space between your chest and shoulder, that crease, you'll nestle that into the blocks so they're kind of lifting and supporting you. So this should be fairly comfortable and a nice sensation of stretch across the chest and shoulder. You know, you might have to wiggle them around to figure it out, and we'll be here for 4 minutes. So once you settle in here, let your head drop. Feel the legs long behind you. And if you're looking at the screen, stop looking at the screen. But your head should be down. My head will just be lifted so I can instruct you in this shape. If you can sense any clenching in the back body, see if you can release it now. Notice if there's anything in you that's been feeling ungrounded lately. And feel into the support of the ground underneath you and the blocks holding your shoulders. Take a deep, full breath in and out. If at any point you experience tingling in your arms or hands, just adjust the blocks or your arms slightly, see if that alleviates that. And bring your awareness to your breath and your upper back, in your side ribs, in your front ribs. Sense your breath moving 360 degrees around as you breathe fully and deeply. So our immune system is comprised of your lymph nodes, which move lymphatic fluid around the body and help to move toxins out of the tissues back into the bloodstream to be filtered and cleaned. So it's sort of like the cleanup crew of your body, you could think of it as. And your lymph nodes are located in places in the body where there is a joint crease. So the armpits, the neck, the groin, the chest. A lot of the places we'll be stimulating today with props to encourage lymphatic flow. In less than a minute to go here. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. All you have to do is be here and breathe. Every breath just massages the lymph nodes. We're stimulating the lymph nodes in the armpits right now with the blocks, gently applying some pressure there in your breath, like a massage. It just helps aid that process. Take one more deep breath in and out. Slowly come up onto the hands and press yourself up onto all fours for our next shape, child's pose. So even if you love child's pose in yoga, you know, it's a different thing in yin. Even if you're like, I don't need props, just give yourself some props here, because in yin yoga we hold poses for 3 to 5 minutes. So it can be good to have some extra support. So pad your knees with a blanket, and you might sit just hips to heels like this and come forward. Any comfortable position with the hands you like, you take. They can be extended, they can be stacked. If you can't relax in this position, some options for you. You could wedge the bolster behind your knees so that you're sitting your butt onto it. Or you could simply do this position lying on your back, hugging the knees in. So make your way to a comfortable child's pose for you if you are not already there. And we have 4 more minutes in this shape. Work with wide knees so you feel your rib cage kind of hugged and held by your inner legs. Child's pose stretches the spine and also the outer hips. It's a really therapeutic pose that invites us to drop our focus inward, find a more meditative mode of being. Notice your breath here. Each one of these poses will instruct the breath, invite the breath to move in a slightly different way. And part of the meditative aspect of this practice is just watching the breath, how it changes pose to pose. You might even imagine your lungs in your rib cage here, gently expanding and inflating on the inhalation, and relaxing and contracting on the exhalation. Visualizing your lungs connecting to what's inside. With supportive, steady breath. You never have to try to breathe. The body just does it naturally. So one of the pillars of Yin Yoga is stillness. There may be some adjusting initially in each of these shapes, but once we arrive at a comfortable enough position, we want to try to remain still. And there are several reasons for this. It allows the stretch to move beyond the muscle and penetrate those deeper layers, our fascia, our connective tissue. But it also calms the mind, stillness. We have probably all had the experience of feeling really overwhelmed or run down, and then you get sick. I remember in college, I'd always, cram for my finals and go, go, go. And the moment they were done, I'd get sick. So one way yoga can support our immune health is by calming the nervous system. And shapes like child's pose that promote an inward focus that still the mind. They're like chicken soup for the body. They really are. Let's take one more deep breath here. And breathe it away. And moving slowly. No sense of rush ever, ever in this practice. Find your way to hands and knees. Tabletop position. Cat-cow. So we'll bring in a little bit of movement after those long holds. So you inhale, drop your belly, arch your spine for cow. Exhale, round your spine for cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Couple more. And feel free to make those your own if you're getting an impulse to get your hips involved or your head and neck. Just moving the body like you, tapping into your intuitive ability to rebalance and heal yourself. Good. Our next shape is called Dangling. This is our only standing pose in Yin Yoga. You might use your blocks for this. And you'll bring yourself into a standing forward fold. And knees should be soft here. They can be bent quite a bit. We're only going to be in this shape for 2 minutes, but I don't want you to feel like it's a huge strain on the hamstrings. So, find the version that works for you. Some people prefer hands on blocks. Some people prefer ragdoll arms, interlacing the elbows, or just dangling the hands. So see what feels best to you, and then drop your head and your neck. So we have lymph nodes in the neck, around the head. And when we invert like this, we put the head lower than the heart. We encourage lymphatic drainage. And the best way I've come to understand the lymphatic system is if you think about a healthy river, there's a lot of movement, right? There's a strong current. It's not a stagnant pool of water. It's like it's flowing. And then you have this fresh mountain spring. So our lymphatic system is the same. It wants movement, it wants flow. When we're sick, the lymph nodes get inflamed, and that can create stagnancy. There's not as much flow. If you do happen to be sick, having your head down might not feel so great. So if that's you, maybe at this point you come up to a flat back position or you come all the way up. But if you're feeling okay, release and embrace the downward movement of this inversion. And just about 30 more seconds here. Really make sure you're letting go in the head and the neck. So often we, just subconsciously hold our neck up, make it work harder than it needs to. Very relieving for the spine to dangle like this, decompressing the spine. Take one more deep breath in and out. From here, Yogi squat. Slowly heel toe your feet wider, heels and toes out. Bend your knees and lower down to a wide, low squat. We'll be here for 2 minutes. If this position is a lot for your hamstrings or your hips, You can sit on 1 or 2 blocks, or you could fold your blanket over and place it under your heels. And bring your hands to prayer at your heart. He's totally out. I think he's feeling the yin vibes. We're helping him relax. It's a very anxious dog. Okay. So as you settle in here, feel the downward pull of the hips. The pelvis is heavy. Go with gravity, let it pull you down. But then also see if you can find the sitting up in the sitting down. So spine is lengthening up. Close your eyes or soften your gaze at one point. Practice stillness. Since the lymph nodes are located in joint creases, when we bend or, find a position like this, we create pressure around the joint spaces, and these pressure differentials create a pumping effect, so they move lymphatic fluid. Let's take one more breath here. Breath out. And then release your pose. Bring the hands down. Lift the hips, straighten the legs. Maybe take a couple pedals, side to side, sway the hips. And then make your way down to all fours. Our next yin hold, dragons. Take your blanket across your mat again so you can pad your knees and come onto all fours. You'll need all the props you got for this one probably. So I always like to use my blocks to create a platform with my bolster. So I've got the blocks, about 6 inches apart. I just lay the bolster on top. So from here, you're going to bring your right foot forward and you'll scoot your back knee back a little bit. Make sure that back knee is really comfy, really padded. You don't want a ton of pressure on your kneecap. Think more weight on like the front, the top of above the knee. That's what I'm trying to say. Turn your right toes out. Sink your hips down so you feel some compression and pressure in the outer hip, probably front inner groin and back leg here as well. And you can stay on your hands or maybe bring the forearms down to your bolster. 4 minutes in dragons. So this is a pretty intense pose for a lot of us. There's another pillar of Yin Yoga, which is finding your edge, meaning finding that place where you feel something but not everything, where you can still breathe, you can still be tapping into the relaxation mode of the practice rather than contracting and resisting the stretch. So usually this is described as if a sensation of feeling is 1 to 10. 1 is like you feel nothing, 10 is it hurts. You want to be around like a 5 or a 6. Lizard, a highly sensational pose. It might feel more like a 6 or a 7. But find that place where you can hang out here a while. Let your head relax. Let the shoulders soften and try to release the muscles around the eyes if you're furrowing your brow, jaw unclenched. We're halfway through the hold. So this is a deep, deep pose to increase the stretch and mobility of the psoas muscle, your hip flexor group. And then also the groin, the outer hip. So really stimulating those areas where lymph nodes reside around the hips and pelvis. You're in your final minute. Last 30 seconds. If you ever feel pain in a pose, always permission to come out. But if you just feel uncomfortable, can you expand your breath to meet the moment, to meet the challenge you're in? This practice trains us to relax and soften in the face of discomfort. Let's take a final breath in and out. Slowly exit your pose. Wide half split is where you're going. You'll just shift back, straighten the front leg any amount. And then rebend your front leg. Bring the hands down and find a downward dog. And just feel the space you've started to open, the channels you've started to open. Some people believe that Yin Yoga works in a similar fashion to acupuncture, stimulating the meridians of the body, these energetic channels through which your chi flows. In the yoga tradition, we call it prana. So you can think of these poses as opening the channels for lymphatic flow. Gently lower the knees. Dragon on the left side. Step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. And scoot your back knee back. And settle in. 4 minutes here. So that first minute is always just kind of settling, arriving, making whatever adjustments you need so that you can stay a while. And then once you've found your edge, move toward stillness. The more still you are, the more you can let gravity just pull you down, lengthening the resting length of your connective tissue, your fascia, your webbing. So the psoas, the hip flexor group that's really getting a deep stretch in this pose, is sort of a prehistoric muscle. It's a fight or flight muscle, they say, meaning it contracts when we're stressed out or anxious or fearful. It's quite an emotional muscle. It also contracts if we are sitting for a lot of our lives. Most of us are a little stressed and sedentary. So if this feels pretty sensational, that might be why. Deepen your breathing. Deep diaphragmatic breaths all throughout this practice to activate your pose. Your diaphragm is one of your organs of breathing, and it actually is connected to the psoas. So you can theoretically breathe into your hips. So visualize that happening now, sending the breath, like healing energy, a healing balm down to whatever is gripped or locked. You're in your final minute here. Are you gripping or holding somewhere you could let go of? Especially in these more intense postures like dragons. There can be a tendency to brace against it, resist. But the whole energy of yin is that of surrender, of going with the flow. So can you release 5% more into this shape? Just take one more breath in. Breath out. And then slowly exit your pose. Ooh. Wide half split. If the joints feel quite tender when you release these or fragile, that's normal. It usually dissipates with a little bit of movement. Let's find down dog once more and just feel the effects of the dragons. And lower your knees. Find a seat. You might want to sit on the edge of your blanket if your hips are tight. And we'll move into a neck stretch, actually a hip stretch too. Shoelace legs. So cross your right leg over the other. Knees might stack. Okay, if that is not feeling comfortable or natural, just cross-legged seat in Sukhasana. So arrange the lower half so the sits bones are rooted, and then grab one of your blocks. Place it to your right side and bring your right forearm onto the block, side bend. But for this side bend, reach your left arm away from you on a diagonal and lean your left shoulder back in space so you feel a stretch across your pec. If you want to feel a bit more sensation here, bring your left hand behind your back for a half bind. Roll the left shoulder back, release your right ear to your right shoulder. And just feel that gentle tug on the muscles on the left side of the neck. Drop your chin to your chest, turning the gaze down, and just notice what that changes for you. Slowly move your head as if this movement could massage the muscles of your neck. Let it be slow, subtle, luxurious. Releasing another layer in your head and your neck. Take one more breath in and out. Slowly pull yourself back upright. And just feel the difference between your two sides. And we'll take an easy twist. So sitting tall, bring your left hand to the outside of your right thigh or right knee if you're in Sukhasana. Just sit up taller and twist to the right. Maybe look over right shoulder. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then unwind. Second side, left leg on top, shoelace legs, or Sukhasana. Get settled in your seat so you're sitting tall. And then you'll move your block to your left side and place your left forearm on the block and lean your right arm towards the right. So you're reaching to the right as you're side bending left. If you want to feel a little more, bring the back of your right hand to your back, but really think about leaning your right shoulder back if it's rounding in. And release left ear to left shoulder. And then turn your gaze down, drop chin to chest. Notice what shifts in the stretch. Slow movements with your neck. Just investigating the whole cornucopia of sensation available to you. We hold so much tension in our head and neck and can contribute to things like tension headaches or just pain. So supporting your health by releasing and letting go in the neck. Take one more breath in. Breath out. Slowly, slowly sit back up. And just feel the afterflow of that. Spinal twist. Inhale, sit tall. Exhale, twist to the left. Right hand either to the knee or to the left thigh. Breathe in. Breathe out. Unwind. Untangle your legs. Let's take some windshield wipers with the feet on the ground. Just side to side with the knees. Oof. Just getting the blood flowing back down the legs. And the more you practice yin, the more you might be able to feel the movement of the chi, of the prana, as the channels open. It might be blood flow, might be lymphatic flow, but you can feel something moving when you release the pressure at the joint. So find your way now to sit and grab your bolster. Heart opener on the bolster. We're going to place it across the mat horizontally. And then we're going to be laying our shoulder blades back onto it with the hands interlaced behind the head. So this will open the lymph in the armpits. We're going to hold this one for 4 minutes. So come back onto this. Interlace your hands behind your head. Let your head drop back. Feet can be like this. They can extend. Or you could find Supta Baddha Konasana, butterfly legs. If your head is really dangling, put your blanket or block underneath. And as you settle into this, you should feel quite a tug and opening at the armpits, across the chest. If tingling comes into the fingers or arms, adjust them and see if you can make that go away. It's not a bad thing, it just can be a sign that a nerve is a little bit crowded. So you could try arms just open. Find what works for you. We've got 3 minutes here. So we've got another inversion pose, encouraging lymphatic flow around the armpits, the shoulders, the neck. This also opens the upper back, the thoracic spine. Keep feeling the heaviness of your hips and the heaviness of your head and your shoulders. So those 2 points are lengthening and stretching as you bow over the support and open the chest. Feel the breath expanding those muscles between the ribs as you breathe. Having the head dropped back and the throat open also can bring us energy. Stimulates the thyroid gland, and giving us energy if we're feeling sluggish or under the weather. Taking a supported heart opener like this can really give you a boost. So even though yoga is not technically medicine, it can support our health in a variety of ways. Take one more deep breath in. Breath out. If the legs are in a butterfly shape, slowly pull the knees together, let the feet find the ground. And to come up out of this, we have a few options. We could roll to one side, or we could dip the chin and just press ourselves straight up. So moving slowly and mindfully, you're going to come on up. Move your bolster to the side. Grab one block and maybe your blanket. And come onto our backs now for supported bridge. I'm having a sip of tea. So come onto your back, knees bent, feet on the floor. And from here, you'll lift your hips and place your block under your low back on the low or the medium setting. And you'll know it's in the right spot when it just feels like home, when you're like, I can relax here. I can give my weight to this thing and know it's going to hold me. So just feel the feet on the ground, feel the sacrum supported by the block, palms up to encourage opening of the chest. If you have a blanket, it could feel nice to lay that across your hips for some additional grounding. And then we have some choices for variations in supported bridge. You could stay right where you are. This is such a therapeutic pose. Really down-regulating for your nervous system, which supports immune function. If you'd like to take this into more of an inversion, you could lift one leg and then the other. Legs up the wall, or Viparita Karani. Another variation in bridge, if your feet are still down, is simply extending one leg. I'll show you that. If your legs are up and that feels good, you stay. But another variation might be just extending one leg with the heel on the ground to lengthen your hip flexors. So trust your body to guide you to the right variation for you. And then we'll stay here 3 more minutes together. If the legs are lifted, just notice the sensations in the legs and how they change as the lymphatic fluid drains from the feet and the legs, as blood moves back to the heart and the lungs. You might experience this as tingling in the feet or a temperature change in the legs. Just become fascinated by your inner landscape. So often we feel overwhelmed or stressed when we're just taking in too much external stimulus. When we feel pressure to perform, our culture is very, very yang, very active, very fiery. There's so much output, not enough input. So let yourself restore that balance here. If you are in the variation with one leg extended, go ahead and switch to the other leg now. Last minute in this pose. Take a deep breath in. Empty out fully. If the legs are extended, slowly lower one leg and then the other. Feet find the ground. And then lift the hips, remove the block. And allow the pelvis to settle. Just breathe way down into your hips. Extend your legs now for Bananasana, or side body stretch. So bring your legs off the mat to the right, and then arc your upper body up and over to the right. You might cross your left leg over your right. Arms can be in a cactus position, or the right hand might grab the left wrist. So you're arcing the body up and over to the right, creating this banana or half moon shape, but the whole back body is connected to your mat. Feel your left hip get heavier. Feel the length through the whole left side, from the ankle to the armpit. And begin to expand the breath into the left side ribs. Visualize the ribs here like the gills of a fish. With your inhalation, those intercostal muscles between the ribs stretch and expand like an accordion. And with the exhalation, they relax and contract. See them fanning open like the gills of a fish, opening and closing. So natural, so easy, just like the breath was breathing you. here. Again, if there's tingling in the hands, feel free to adjust the position with the arms. Breathing in peace, breathing out relaxation. And nourishing your body with every breath spent here. Take a deeper breath in. Easy breath out. Moving slowly, bring upper body back to center. And then lower body. And then start to move the legs off to the left. Bananasana, second side. Shoulders and upper body arc over to the left. You might cross your right ankle over your left. Left hand might grab the right wrist, but only if you can relax your shoulder blades here. Feel your right hip get heavier. 4 minutes in your pose has begun. You may notice that one side feels more taut or more open. We're all going to have a side that's tighter. Usually for most of us, it's the right side because there's more organs on that side. So more muscular development. It's subtle. So breathe into the right side body. And we're also stimulating the lymph nodes in the armpits in Bananasana. It's really a go-to pose to support immune function. Unlike the other systems in your body, like your respiratory system or your cardiovascular system, the lymphatic system has no pump. So how does all this lymphatic fluid get moved? Well, movement is the pump and breath is the pump. When we move, we create those pressure differentials at the joint creases that move lymphatic fluid, and then the breath is this gentle current that encourages the flow. The healthy flow of that robust river of your immune system, keeping you healthy. A little over a minute to go. I'll just leave you with the silence of the breath. Every expansive breath nourishing all the tissues of the body, restoring and replenishing your energy, filling your well. Take a deeper breath in. Easy breath out. And slowly release the upper body back to center, then the lower body. And just draw the knees in. Slowly give yourself a squeeze. Bananasana. And we'll move into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Since you have all these props, you might as well use them. I'll show you my favorite way to set up is to put the bolster under the knees, one block under each foot, and the blanket over me. So you might set up in that way so you can really sink into this final rest. Come onto your backs. Make any adjustments you need to allow the body to really sink and surrender into this nourishing position. You can think of Shavasana as the cooking pose. You've made a hearty, nourishing stew in your Yin Yoga practice, adding all these ingredients. And now you just set it on the stove top and let it warm and simmer and come to fruition. Have the time, I encourage you to take rest here for as long as you need. But if you need to move on to the rest of your day or evening, just let your breath start to deepen and move your fingers and feet. And slowly bend one knee and then the other, pulling them in. And then roll to your right side. And as you're ready, come back to a comfortable seat. Joining the palms to prayer your heart, just Start to rub the hands together. Create some heat. And then place one hand over your chest and one hand over your belly. Just feeling the warmth of your hands. That reassurance that you can support your body with this practice, with your healing intention. It's been my absolute pleasure to guide you in this Yin Yoga practice. Thank you so much for being here with me. I wish you good health, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.